Are you tired of affirmations that feel empty? You've said the words. You've whispered them in the morning. You've repeated them at night. And yet the life you're calling in still feels just out of reach. If that's where you are right now, understand this clearly. Nothing is wrong with you. What's happening is far more subtle and far more important. Today is not just another date on the calendar. It arrives at a moment of structural reset. The universe moves on timing, on rhythm, on sequence. And this specific point in time marks a quiet turning where old manifestation methods begin to lose their grip. What worked before feels flat now, not because the universe has stopped listening, but because it's asking you to evolve how you speak to it. Many of you watching this feel restless. You sense momentum building, but you can't quite access it. You feel like you're standing at the edge of something meaningful, yet the bridge hasn't fully appeared. You've been disciplined. You've stayed positive. You've done what you were told would work. And still, the results feel delayed. This emotional tension you're carrying is not impatience. It's awareness waking up. Here is the truth most people aren't ready to hear in 2026's accelerated energetic climate. Affirmations alone are no longer enough. Words without embodiment no longer register the way they once did. The universe is no longer responding to what you say you want. It's responding to what you are trained to feel as normal. This is the missing link. Passive thought versus active embodiment. Most affirmations fail not because the words are wrong, but because the nervous system doesn't believe them. You can say, "I am abundant," 1,000 times, but if your body still feels tense, guarded, or waiting for permission, the signal you're sending is hesitation, not certainty. The universe always answers the deeper signal. Right now, many of you are being tested in a very quiet way. Not through chaos, not through loss, but through delay. The test is this: will you keep repeating empty words, or will you learn how to inhabit the future you're asking for? This phase isn't about action. It's about restraint. The universe is watching how you respond internally, not how fast you move externally. On today, there is a subtle, energetic doorway that opens. It doesn't announce itself. It doesn't force change. It simply amplifies whatever state you're most practiced in. If you are practiced in wanting, you'll feel more wanting. If you are practiced in embodying, you'll feel reality begin to rearrange. This is where we move beyond affirmations and into what I call sensory imprinting. This is not visualization in the old sense. This is not pretending. This is the next evolution of intention setting. Sensory imprinting teaches your subconscious what already exists rather than what you hope might exist someday. Your subconscious does not understand future tense. It understands repetition and sensation. It learns through texture, tone, rhythm, and emotional weight. When you only use words, you engage a thin layer of the mind. When you engage the senses, you rewrite the deeper blueprint that reality responds to. Many of you already sense this intuitively. You've noticed that the moments when life shifts are not when you're thinking hardest, but when something suddenly feels real. A conversation that clicks. A place that feels familiar before you've been there. A calm certainty that arrives without explanation. Those are sensory imprints forming. Emotionally, you may be feeling disconnected from affirmations you once loved. You might even feel guilty about it, wondering why the practices that helped before now feel hollow. Let me be clear. This is not failure. This is graduation. What should be avoided right now is forcing belief, forcing positivity, forcing motivation. The universe is not asking you to convince yourself. It's asking you to experience yourself differently, quietly, gently, repeatedly. What is aligning beneath the surface is a deeper form of trust. Not trust that things will work out, but trust that your internal state is the real point of power. Today marks the beginning of this recalibration. From this point forward, what you embody carries more weight than what you declare. In the next chapter, we're going to move beyond vision boards and mental imagery and explore the full sensory spectrum. You'll begin to understand how sight, sound, smell, taste, and touch work together to create a lived signal the universe cannot ignore. This is where abstract desire becomes tangible reality. For now, sit with this knowing. If affirmations have felt empty, it's because you're ready for something more honest, something more embodied, something that doesn't ask you to believe but teaches your system to remember. If you've ever stared at a vision board and felt nothing, you're not alone. Many of you created them with genuine hope, only to realize that the images eventually faded into the background of your life. The pictures stayed the same, but you didn't feel closer to them. That's because vision alone was never meant to carry the full weight of manifestation. Sight is powerful, but it is only one door into the subconscious. And in this current energetic cycle, one door is no longer enough. January 20th arrives as a reminder that reality is multi-sensory. The universe itself is built on vibration, frequency, and texture. Sound moves through space. Light bends. Matter responds to pressure. And your subconscious was designed to learn through all of it, not just through what you see in your mind's eye. When manifestation stays visual, it stays theoretical. When it becomes sensory, it becomes familiar. And familiarity is what the universe mirrors back. Emotionally, many of you feel detached from your goals right now. You still want them, but they feel distant, like something meant for a later version of you. That distance is not created by lack of effort. It's created by lack of sensory engagement. The subconscious measures reality by how real it feels, not how well it's imagined. Let's move through the sensory spectrum, not as a checklist, but as an awakening. Begin with sight, but don't stop there. Sight asks a simple question. What does your desired reality look like when no one is watching? Not the highlight version, the ordinary moments, the light in the room, the posture of your body, the way you move when you're not trying to impress anything. These details matter because they signal normalcy, not fantasy. Then there is sound. Sound is often overlooked, yet it is one of the fastest ways to imprint certainty. What sounds exist in your desired life? The tone of your own voice when you speak from confidence. The background hum of a space where you feel secure. The silence that no longer feels heavy, but spacious. When you hear yourself speaking calmly from a place of stability, your nervous system begins to register that state as safe. Smell is even more ancient. It bypasses logic and goes straight to memory. A certain scent can collapse time instantly. This is why smell is so potent in sensory imprinting. What does abundance smell like to you? Clean air, fresh fabric, coffee in a quiet morning, wood, rain. Choose what feels grounding, not dramatic. The universe responds to authenticity, not exaggeration. Taste follows closely. Taste teaches the body that pleasure is allowed. Many people unconsciously block manifestation because they don't feel safe enjoying what they want. Taste reminds you that receiving is not dangerous. It's natural. The taste of nourishment, the taste of celebration, the taste of calm. When you let yourself linger there, even briefly, you are teaching your system that fulfillment is not something to brace against. And then there is touch, the sense that anchors everything into the physical. Touch is where embodiment truly begins. The weight of clothing on your shoulders, the temperature of the air on your skin, the feeling of your feet grounded, not rushing, not searching. Touch tells your subconscious, I am here now, and when your body believes it is already here, reality begins to close the gap. This is not imagination for entertainment. This is neurological conditioning. Neuroscience shows that the brain does not sharply distinguish between vividly felt internal experience and external reality. When sensory input is layered with emotional presence, the subconscious begins to update its expectations. An expectation is the blueprint reality follows. Right now, the test many of you are facing is subtle. You're being asked to stop chasing intensity and start cultivating familiarity. Avoid dramatizing the future. Avoid making your desires feel distant or overwhelming. The universe is quietly aligning what feels normal to you, not what feels impressive. What is aligning beneath the surface is a recalibration of identity. When your senses repeatedly experience a state, your self-image begins to shift without force. You don't have to tell yourself you're becoming someone new. You simply start responding as if you already are. That is embodiment. January 20th supports this transition because it favors integration over declaration. Less speaking, more sensing, less effort, more presence. The universe is not asking you to prove belief. It's asking you to practice familiarity. In the next chapter, we'll move into crafting your personal immersion blueprint. You'll learn how to design a sensory practice that fits your nervous system, not someone else's routine. Because manifestation is never one size fits all. It's precision, not pressure, that creates lasting change. Stay with this. Let your senses lead where words no longer can. This moment will make sense later. By now, you may be noticing something subtle shifting inside you. Not excitement, not urgency, but recognition, as if something you've always known is quietly returning to the surface. This is important because manifestation in this phase is not about adding more effort. It's about removing what was never essential. January 20th marks a point where precision matters more than intensity, and your immersion blueprint is where that precision begins. Many people fail here because they copy practices that don't belong to their nervous system. They follow routines that look powerful but feel exhausting. If a practice feels heavy, forced, or overly complex, it will never imprint. The subconscious learns through ease and repetition, not through pressure. So the first thing to understand is this: your blueprint must feel natural enough to return to daily. Emotionally, some of you are tired of systems. You're tired of being told to do more, visualize longer, or push harder. That exhaustion is not laziness. It's discernment. The universe is refining how you engage with it, and part of that refinement is learning what actually works for you. Step 1 is clarity, but not in the way you've been taught. This is not about writing the perfect goal. This is about choosing a single desired state rather than an outcome. For example, instead of focusing on financial success, focus on the state of stability or ease. Instead of perfect health, focus on vitality or lightness. States imprint faster than outcomes because they are felt immediately. Once you choose the state, you identify your anchor senses. These are the senses that respond most quickly for you. Some people are visual, others are auditory. Some feel everything in the body first. There is no hierarchy here. The right anchor sense is the one that creates calm recognition, not excitement. When you touch it, your system should soften, not brace. If you're unsure which senses are strongest for you, notice where your memory naturally goes. Do you remember moments by how they looked, how they sounded, or how they felt in your body? That's your doorway. Start there. You can layer the others later, but your anchor sense is the foundation of your blueprint. Now you build your sensory toolkit. This is not symbolic. It is practical. For sight, this may be a single image, color, or lighting condition that represents your desired state, not a collage, one clear visual cue. For sound, it may be a tone, a type of music, or even the sound of your own breathing slowing down. For smell, choose one scent that grounds you instantly. For taste, something simple that feels nourishing. For touch, a texture that signals safety and presence. Each of these tools should be easy to access. The universe respects consistency over complexity. A practice you return to daily, even briefly, will outperform a perfect ritual you abandon after a week. Now comes the part most people skip: timing. January 20 emphasizes structure. Your blueprint needs a consistent entry point in your day. Not when you have time, not when you feel motivated. Choose a moment that already exists, like waking up, preparing a meal, or winding down at night. You're not adding something new. You're embedding it into what's already stable. Emotionally, this is where resistance may surface. You may feel silly. You may feel like it's too simple to matter. That doubt is not intuition. It's the old conditioning that equates power with struggle. Avoid abandoning simplicity. This phase is about training your system to recognize calm embodiment as strength. What is being tested right now is patience. Not passive patience, but steady presence. Avoid constantly checking for results. Avoid scanning reality for proof. Sensory imprinting works beneath the surface first. Reality rearranges after familiarity is established internally. What is quietly aligning is coherence. When your senses, emotions, and expectations point in the same direction, the signal you emit becomes clear. Conflicting signals delay manifestation more than doubt ever could. As you practice your blueprint, notice how your reactions change before circumstances do. You respond more calmly. You choose differently without forcing it. These are not coincidences. They are indicators that the imprint is forming. In the next chapter, we will move into a live sensory immersion practice. This is where everything becomes experiential. You won't just understand embodiment. You'll feel it. And once the body learns it, words are no longer required. Stay present with this process. Build it gently. Return to it consistently. The universe is not in a hurry, but it is paying attention. This moment will make sense later. Now we move from understanding into experience. This is where words soften and sensation takes the lead. If you're listening to this on January 20th or any time close to it, know that the energetic environment is especially receptive to imprinting right now. Not because something dramatic is happening, but because the noise has lowered. The universe is quieter, and in quiet phases, subtle signals carry farther. Before we begin, understand this. You are not trying to create anything in this moment. You are allowing your system to remember a state it already knows how to hold. Manifestation does not begin with force. It begins with permission. Take a slow breath, not to relax, but to arrive. Feel where your body is supported. The chair, the floor, the ground beneath you. This sense of support matters. Your nervous system must feel held before it will accept new familiarity. Choose one desire to work with right now. Not your entire future. Not everything at once. One state you want to live from more consistently. Ease, confidence, security, vitality. Let the word arise without analyzing it. Now begin with your anchor sense. If sight is your anchor, allow an image to form, but keep it simple. Not a scene, just an atmosphere, light, space, movement. Notice how your body responds when you let that image exist without effort. If sound is your anchor, listen inwardly. Hear the tone of your own breath, the steadiness of it. Imagine the sound of your voice when you speak from this desired state, calm, grounded, unrushed. Let that sound settle. If touch is your anchor, feel into the physical sensations of being in this state. The way your shoulders rest, the weight of your body evenly distributed, the absence of gripping. Touch tells the subconscious that this is safe. Now begin to gently layer the other senses. There is no rush. Add smell, a scent that represents this state for you. Clean, warm, familiar. Let it pass through you like a memory rather than an invention. Add taste, not as indulgence, but as nourishment. The taste of something that supports you. The taste of enough energy, enough time, enough space. Notice how your body receives that. As you hold these sensations together, notice the emotional tone that emerges. Not excitement, not anticipation, just a quiet certainty. This is the vibrational shift. It feels subtle, but it is precise. This is the frequency the universe responds to. Emotionally, some of you may notice resistance here. A thought that says, this won't last, or this isn't real. Don't fight it. Simply return to sensation. Sensation is the language that bypasses doubt. Now imagine moving through an ordinary moment from this state. Not a big achievement. Something simple. Making a decision. Walking through a room. Speaking one sentence. Notice how different the movement feels when this state is already present. This is embodiment. Stay here for a few breaths. Let your system register that nothing bad happens when you feel this way. That safety and expansion can coexist. That you don't have to earn this state. As you gently come back to the present moment, understand this. The imprint has been made. It does not fade when you stop focusing. It integrates quietly, influencing how you perceive and respond throughout your day. To sustain this imprint, you don't need long sessions. Short returns are more powerful. A few seconds of sensation before a conversation. A brief moment of grounding before sleep. And this is how familiarity becomes permanent. What should be avoided after this practice is overthinking it. Avoid asking if you did it right. Avoid looking for immediate external confirmation. The universe is not testing your technique. It is responding to your coherence. What is quietly aligning now is resonance. As you continue to return to this state, your environment will begin to echo it. Opportunities will feel less forced. Choices will feel clearer. Timing will feel less stressful. In the next chapter, we'll talk about integration and amplification, how to bring this embodied state into daily life without turning it into another obligation, because manifestation that feels heavy will never last. Stay gentle with yourself here. You are not behind. You are right on time. What you've experienced so far may feel quiet, even understated. That's intentional. Real shifts rarely announce themselves. They settle in first, altering your internal rhythm before the external world catches up. As we move into integration, especially around today, the universe is less concerned with what you do and more attentive to what you maintain. Integration is where most manifestation practices either succeed or dissolve, not because the technique stops working, but because people abandon it too quickly. They mistake subtlety for failure. If that sounds familiar, understand this. The absence of fireworks is often the sign that something is actually stabilizing. Emotionally, many of you are in a space of cautious hope. You don't want to get excited and be disappointed again. That hesitation is understandable. The universe is not asking you to trust blindly. It's asking you to observe patterns. Notice how you respond to small moments now. Are you slightly calmer, less reactive, more grounded in decisions? These are early confirmations. The daily practice in this phase is intentionally brief. 30 seconds, 1 minute, 2 at most. Long enough to reconnect with the sensory imprint, short enough that it never feels like a burden. The goal is not intensity. The goal is consistency. A state revisited often becomes a state retained. Anchor your practice to moments of transition. Before you check your phone, before you enter a room, before you respond to someone emotionally. These in-between moments are powerful because the mind is already open. You're not interrupting your life. You're weaving embodiment into it. Distractions will arise. They always do. Thoughts, doubts, old habits. When they appear, don't label them as problems. Simply notice them and return to sensation. The body is always in the present. When you come back to it, you come back to power. Motivation may wane some days. That's normal. This is not a phase of constant inspiration. It's a phase of quiet alignment. Avoid judging yourself for inconsistency. Judgment fractures coherence faster than missed practice ever could. Celebrate your sensory wins. These are not dramatic events. They are moments where you respond differently than you used to. A pause instead of a reaction. A choice made from calm instead of urgency. A sense of being guided rather than pushed. These are signs the imprint is influencing your reality. What is being tested right now is your relationship with control. The impulse to force outcomes, to check timelines, to measure progress. Avoid turning this process into another performance. The universe is watching how you hold your desire, not how tightly you grip it. What is quietly aligning is trust built through experience. Not belief, not hope, but lived evidence that your internal state shapes your external flow. As this trust deepens, effort decreases. You stop trying to manifest and start allowing. Today supports this integration because it favors rhythm over acceleration. This is not the time to rush. It's the time to stabilize what you've already accessed. Stability creates momentum naturally. In the next chapter, we'll address common pitfalls more directly. What to do when old patterns resurface. How to stay grounded when external circumstances test your new state. And how to recognize when the universe is responding, even if it doesn't look like what you expected. For now, let integration be gentle. Let consistency be simple. Let progress be measured internally before it ever becomes visible. This is the chapter most people misunderstand. Because when manifestation begins to stabilize, life doesn't always become instantly smooth. Often it becomes revealing. Old patterns surface, familiar triggers reappear, and many mistake this as regression. It isn't, it's confirmation. As we move through this phase, especially following today, the universe tests embodiment before it rewards it. Not as punishment, but as calibration. It places you in situations that once pulled you out of alignment to see if the imprint now holds. The question isn't, can you stay positive? The question is, can you stay present? Emotionally, this can feel confusing. You may think, if I'm doing this right, why is this happening again? Understand this clearly. The reappearance of old dynamics means your system is being asked to respond differently, not that you've failed. The universe is watching how you respond, not what shows up. One of the most common pitfalls here is emotional overcorrection, trying to suppress reactions, trying to stay calm at all costs. That creates internal conflict. Embodiment is not about being unbothered. It's about being honest without losing center. Feel what arises, but don't abandon your sensory anchor. When a trigger appears, return to the body first. Feel your feet, your breath, the texture of what's supporting you. Sensation grounds faster than thought. Once grounded, choose response rather than reaction. This is where the imprint proves itself. Another test that appears is impatience, the desire to see visible results now, to know it's working, to receive confirmation. Avoid chasing signs. Signs chase coherence, not the other way around. The more stable your internal state, the more naturally confirmation arrives. What should be avoided in this phase is comparison, watching others, measuring timelines, assuming someone else's path reflects your own. The universe does not replicate routes. It responds to frequency. Your only reference point is your internal consistency. What is quietly aligning now is signal strength. Every time you respond from embodiment instead of old conditioning, the signal becomes clearer. Clear signals move faster through reality because they encounter less resistance. Confusion delays. Coherence accelerates. You may notice moments where things almost happen, then pause. Conversations that open, then slow. Opportunities that appear, then reroute. These are not denials. They are adjustments. The universe is fine-tuning alignment, not withholding reward. This phase isn't about action. It's about restraint, about not reverting to forcing, about trusting the state you've embodied even when circumstances test it. The more neutral and grounded you remain, the faster alignment stabilizes. Today initiated this sequence. What follows is integration under pressure. Not overwhelming pressure, but subtle stress designed to reveal where embodiment is real and where it's still conceptual. Treat these moments as information, not obstacles, and the final chapter will bring everything together, not by summarizing but by anchoring you into the long view. How to move forward without obsession, how to recognize alignment as it unfolds, and how to hold this state as your new baseline, not a temporary practice. Stay steady, stay sensory, stay honest. The universe is closer than you think. This is where everything settles, not with a conclusion, but with a shift in orientation. By now, if you've been listening closely, you may notice that you're no longer reaching outward the way you once did. There is less urgency in you, less bargaining with the future, and more steadiness in the present moment. That is not detachment. That is arrival. Today marked the beginning of this recalibration, but what follows is not a countdown to manifestation. It's a normalization of alignment. The universe does not deliver what feels extraordinary to you. It delivers what feels familiar. And the work you've been doing quietly teaches your system what to recognize as home. Emotionally, many of you are realizing something important right now. You're not chasing your future anymore. You're becoming someone who expects it without tension. This is the shift most people miss because it doesn't feel dramatic. It feels calm, and calm has been undervalued for far too long. Here is the long view. Embodiment is not a phase. It's a baseline. You don't turn it on and off. You return to it when you drift. And drifting is not failure. It's part of being human. The difference now is that you know how to come back. From this point forward, manifestation will feel less like effort and more like orientation. You'll notice that decisions are simpler. You won't deliberate as long. You'll sense when something is misaligned without needing proof. This is intuition sharpening through embodiment. What is being tested now is your willingness to let this be enough. Enough practice. Enough presence. Enough progress. The temptation will be to escalate, to add more techniques, to search for the next breakthrough. Avoid that impulse. The universe is not asking for more. It's asking for consistency. What should be avoided is returning to old identity loops. The version of you who was always preparing, always fixing, always waiting for permission. That version served a purpose, but it does not need to lead anymore. When it shows up, acknowledge it without handing it control. What is quietly aligning in this final phase is timing. Doors open without struggle. Conversations flow differently. You are not forcing momentum. You are meeting it. And when things don't move immediately, you no longer collapse into doubt. You stay centered. That alone changes everything. Understand this clearly. Manifestation does not always arrive as the thing you imagined. Sometimes it arrives as the removal of resistance. Sometimes it arrives as peace before proof. Sometimes it arrives as a redirection that only makes sense later. Trust the intelligence of that process. Now, as we close, this is where celestial insight speaks directly to you. If this message resonated, it's because you were meant to hear it now, not earlier, not later. This timing is intentional. Return to your senses when the mind gets loud. Return to embodiment when the world feels uncertain. Return to presence when you feel tempted to rush. This is how you stay aligned long after the video ends. If you felt something shift while listening, honor it. Stay with it. And if you want to deepen this practice, stay connected with this channel. Subscribe to Celestial Insight, not for answers, but for reminders. Quiet guidance. Grounded truth. You don't need to force what's coming. You only need to remain coherent with it. This moment will make sense later.